Welcome back. We are making very good progress. We have now added our code to our GitHub repository. So we're at the point where we're ready to deploy our application. We are going to do this on Cloudways. The good thing about Cloudways is you can do this completely free. You don't even have to put a card in, so you can test it out. And then if you don't want to proceed with your application, you can just leave it and you won't get charged. So I'll put a link in the description to Cloudways. So create an account with Cloudways, log in, and then you want to create a server. I've already created one. This is very self-explanatory on how to do it. I will put a link to a video I have created previously that shows you how to do this, but it's very self-explanatory. Just create a server, and then you want to create a new application on that server. So let's see how we do that. We click on our applications. Oh, just get rid of that. And, oh no, what do we do? What do we do? Really self-explanatory. Now come to applications here and we go add application. And we're going to say, select server one, add application. And then we're just going to go through and select everything we need to do. So it's a Laravel application. So select Laravel. The name of the application is, we're going to call it courses. And we can leave that as your project. And then we say add application. Don't worry about that warning. You can always upgrade your account later to give it more power. Or if you selected a higher power one to start with, then you probably won't get that message. So this is going to take approximately 2 minutes, it says there. And then once it's done its thing, installing, we can look at how to deploy our application by pulling our code from GitHub into our server on Cloudways. While it's doing that, I'm just going to tidy up a few of these tabs that we're not using. We're not using Inertia. We don't need the spatty one. I'm not sure if I need my emails. I don't think I do, but I'm reluctant to close that because it's quite an effort to open up again. And we don't need that. And we don't actually need Postmark either, although I will keep that open so we can see emails when we test it. Courses has been installed. Wonderful. Let's have a look at courses. So we'll head over to courses. So this is our new application. And let's just see what we've got. Let's just see what's there. So we haven't uploaded anything or pulled any code yet. And this is what we have. So we want to look at deploying via Git. So let's come down here, deploy via Git, and see what we need to do. It's really simple actually. So first thing we need to do is generate SSH keys. This is going to take a little while, probably. Once these have been generated, we're going to use them on our GitHub account to link Cloudways with GitHub. Okay, so our SSH keys have been created. So we're going to click on View SSH keys, and then we're just going to copy that. Now we need to go back to our GitHub repository, and we're going to click on Settings. We're going to come down here and we're going to look for deploy keys. And we're going to click on add deploy key. And we're going to give it a title, and we're just going to say Cloudways. And we're going to paste that deploy key into here. And then we're going to leave that unchecked. We don't want to allow write access. We're just going to click add key. So that has now been added to our Cloudways, our GitHub account, should I say. Come back to Cloudways. And now we need to paste in our Git remote address here. So go back to GitHub and come to code. This is in our GitHub repository. Click on this little drop down here. And then we want to copy this SSH. So copy this here. So click on that. Come back to Cloudways, paste that in, click Authenticate. And that is just going to authenticate our GitHub account, or our Git repository, should I say. And that is authenticated. Wonderful. So if we click here, we can select the main branch and you can start deployment, but we're not going to do that just yet. So we're going to leave this page open, and we want to actually open a new tab on our access details. And we just want to do a couple of things here. We want to basically SSH into our server, and we just want to have a little look at what is there, because there is basically some migration files that are already there, and they are problematic if we don't get rid of them. So let's have a look. We've got this username here. This is going to be the name of our application, ngj blah 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 blah. So if we come to our server, let's just do it this way. So open that, and then we want to go to our server, and then from our server dashboard we can actually SSH into it. We're also going to SFTP into it as well, but I just want to show you, because we do need to run some commands on the server. I'm going to show you both of these things just to make it clear what is going on exactly. So I'm guessing a lot of you will be familiar with SFTP or FTP, and maybe some of you will be familiar with the terminal, SSHing in via the terminal. It's basically exactly the same. It's just one of them has a user interface, which is the SFTP, and this is a terminal interface. So it's we have access to the same files and all that fun stuff. So we're just going to log in using these details here. Just copy them directly from here. And now we can use the command ls to list what's in the current directory. So we're going to change directory, cd applications. We're going to ls again, see what's in there. And R1 is this one, which is what we saw in here, ngj. So we're going to say cd, and then we're going to ng, and I'm just going to I'm going to press tab, and it's going to auto-complete that. We're going to list what's in there, and this is going to be our Laravel application that we just created. So we cd into public HTML, and now this is going to look familiar, hopefully. Well, actually it might not. It's not going to look too familiar because it's a bit different to what we have, but this is a basic Laravel application. So if we go through, we're going to see it's got a very similar folder structure to what we have, but not exactly the same. So if we go into app, well, actually no, not app. I will go into app so you can see. You're going to see the same folders. So HTTP, models, all that. Let's go back, because what we're interested in is actually in the database. So cd database, and we want to go cd migrations, and we're going to list that out, ls. And we're going to see there's these migrations in here. And you might be thinking, okay, yeah, there's all of these files in here. What's the point? The point is, when we deploy our application from our repository, for some reason, someone cleverer than me might know, but for some reason, these migrations actually stay here. They do not get removed. They just stay here. So I'm actually going to demonstrate that to you right now. I'm going to come back to our deploy via Git page here, and we're actually going to deploy it. So we're going to say start deployment, and this is going to pull our code from our GitHub account or GitHub repository into our live server. So we're going to let that do its thing. This might take a minute. Okay, that's done. And now we come back to our server here, and bear in mind, we've just pulled our code in. I'm going to list out the exact same migrations folder again, ls, and we're going to see our migrations in there. But these ones remain. So look at the numbers here, 2014, 10, 12, 2014, 10, 12. And what happens is, when we run our migrations, that causes problems. So I'm going to show you how to delete them. You can delete it from here, but it's a lot easier if I show you how to do it via SFTP. So we're just going to create an SFTP user. So come to your application. So we're in the server, and we're on our application here, and we're on access details, and we need to create an SFTP user. So I'm going to do that now. I'm just going to call it John Courses, and we're going to put a password, submit that. That's going to take a minute. That's going to take a minute to create. So while that's doing that, I'm going to open FileZilla. Oh, I don't actually have FileZilla here. Do I have FileZilla? Okay, I'm going to have a look if I've got FileZilla. If I don't, I'm going to download it. So I will put a link to that as well. Okay, so our SFTP user has been created. I'm now going to install FileZilla because that has downloaded. Lovely. So now we can use our details to log in. So our username was John Courses, password, and then we need to paste the IP address in here. So we come here, public IP, copy that, paste it in, quick connect. Not sure what that password stuff was about. Always trust this host. And we've connected. So now we can go through the same way we did with our SSH, and we go and see what we've got here. So we can come to database, migrations, and we can delete those migrations that we don't want. So let's just do that so we can actually see the names. So the way we determine which ones we do want and which ones we don't want is by these numbers here, these dates. So these ones are probably fine, but let's have a little look before I do this. So this is our project. We want to go and find database migrations, and we're going to see these ones here. So we've got 0001, 0101, and we've got these 2025 ones. So to start with, anything that isn't a 0001 or a 2025 is going to be gone. Gone, gone, probably just those. I'm going to say delete. And I'm just going to count how many we've got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And have we got 8 here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm happy that we've deleted the ones we don't need, and the remaining ones are the ones we do need. So that is good. If we come back to our SSH terminal, and now we list that again, we're going to see they have disappeared because it's exactly the same as what we were viewing in FileZilla. It's just a different interface. So now we can look at installing Composer and npm. So we're going to come back to the root of our project, which is this in the public_HTML, and we're going to say clear. And we're going to say Composer install. And this is going to install all of our Composer dependencies. One thing to note, if you get an error here, it might tell you that you're using the wrong version of PHP. If you get that error, come to your server page and say settings and packages, come to packages, and you can change your version of PHP here from the dropdown. So if you get that error saying you're using the wrong version of PHP, change it to PHP 8.3, run Composer install again, and it will work. I had that, and yeah, that was the problem. So that's Composer, and now we can say npm install. And now we're going to say PHP artisan migrate. And that's going to run our migrations. Okay, I had this before. Just try running Composer install again. And try that again. PHP artisan migrate. So that is now working, that command, but you can see we've got this error, and this is a massive oversight, and I haven't actually added our database credentials to our environment file. So we can really easily fix that. Come back to FileZilla, and we're going to go back to our root, and we're going to find the .env file, and we're just going to make a couple of changes to it. So we're going to say view edit. So this is our environment. So currently, it probably doesn't have any database credentials in there. So we need to fix that. So wait for that to open. Okay, so it's opening in the text editor. You can change your settings in FileZilla to open in Visual Studio Code, which probably is worth doing, but we're not going to do that for now. We're not going to worry too much. So if we have a look here, we've got database details here, and they are defaults. And we're going to find the credentials we need in our Cloudways account. So come to access details, which is here, and we're going to copy our database name. So we can say database there, DB database. That didn't copy the right thing, so copy that. Paste that in there. We want the username. We want the password. And while we're here, we're just going to put our mail details here. So if we come back to our local environment file, and we're going to see we've got mail underscore mailable, mail underscore mailer was postmark. So we're going to change that. Mail host, not sure what that's about, but we're actually going to change that. I'm just going to get rid of that. Hopefully that doesn't destroy everything. And we're going to put our from email address as this. And we're going to put our postmark token. So we're going to copy that whole variable because that does not exist here. I'm just going to put this under here. Save that and then upload that to our server by clicking yes here. Let that do its thing. Okay, and now if we come back to our SSH terminal, we should be able to run PHP artisan migrate again, and it should work. Wonderful. So you may remember we had created a seeder for our roles and permission, but we need to actually create a user first. So let's actually go to our application by clicking this. And we should see our application here now. We do. And we're going to register our user. And this user is going to be our admin account. So we're just going to put in the details we want for it. Register. It's going to ask us to verify our email. Okay, we've got a bit of a situation which we can resolve very easily. So it wants to actually make use of the permissions that don't exist yet because they're referenced in our code. So what we're actually going to do is change our seeder, our role seeder, and we're just going to create a user in our role seeder. So if we come to our project, this is local, this is on our local machine, we're going to make changes and then we're going to push them to our GitHub repository and then we're going to pull them back down. So we come to our role seeder again. We're going to just create this user one. So the way we do that is by using this action in create new user. So we basically need to use this. So we're going to say use create new user, and we're going to say here new user equals new create new user. And we're just going to pass an array to this create method here with name, email, and password. and password confirmation. So we're going to say new user create user details. We're going to create this user details array up here. So we're going to say user underscore details equals, and this is going to be an array. And what do we need for that? We need a name, an email, a password, and we also need another key, password confirmation. And that's because it has a rule that means you have to put it twice. So we will do that. So it's going to get validated basically. So that's why we need to do that. So we can say, what did I say? Forgotten. Name, email, password, password confirmation. Name, John. Email, info@codinggoblin.com. Password, whatever. We'll change this once we've logged in. I think that's right. We actually want to return this to this user variable here so we can then assign the role. So we're going to get rid of that. So we come back to here, we actually want to return it, which it does, creates it and returns it. So with a bit of luck, that works. So we're just going to add this to our Git repository. So it's going to say git add everything, git commit. We're going to say changed roles seeder to include first user creation. I'm going to say git push. While that's doing that, we're actually going to need to delete that user we created just now. So if we come back to this access details page, we can say launch database manager. Users. Delete. Deploy via Git. So let's just check that it's pushed our code to our GitHub. It has. We're going to say pull. Lovely. We're now going to run our seeder. I can't remember the exact command for that. So let's have a little look. Copy that. Paste that in, and it was roll seeder. Okay. Now if we come back to our web app, refresh that, log in, and hopefully we can log in with that user we just created by running our seeder. He says, okay, I put a little typo in there, but that's okay. Cody Goblin, that's fine. Okay, let's just log into that. This is a great video. Okay, now this is not a problem, don't worry. So it's going to obviously try and send that email to that incorrect one, but look, if you come and edit profile, we can just correct that. We can say, save that. And now we can resend it. If we come to postmark, hopefully that has all connected correctly. Verify email address, it has. Click that. And now we can verify email address. And we are logged into our account. And hopefully we can view the admin menu. Yes, we can. And now, just to show you that the user's roles and permissions are working, we're going to log out and create a fresh user, and we won't be able to access that because by default they're going to be a standard user. So Dave at codinggoblin.com. So that's going to send verification to Dave, which we can access here. Let's just refresh that. Okay, it's that one. It's processed, but it takes a second to come through. It will come through. It will, I promise. I just want to show you, there you go, delivered. Okay. We can verify Dave's account now. And Dave will not have access to admin because he's not an admin. Lovely, create course. That will send an email as well because we've set up our emails. So let's have a look. Hopefully that's sent an email. Let's refresh that. Course created. So everything is working on our live server. Very nice indeed. In the next video, we will look at linking our own domain to our deployed application. Thanks for watching and see you then.